Hello and welcome back to Satisfactory. My name is Volcata, and as you can see, we are back at our house. You know, I did like our little summer home. It was pretty nice, had a nice lake view, but be it ever so humble, there is no place like home, and it is good to be back. That being said, as much as I enjoy looking at our little complex and our lush forest that we have in our yard, we're not going to stick around here for very long. As you're aware, we are kind of in a holding pattern thanks to the update 6 that's pending. And, you know, we really don't know if it's safe for us to continue to expand our electronics hub. But it's okay because we have other projects that we want to work on that we can do in the meantime. Most importantly, I think, is that we are really tight on our encased industrial beams. Or industrial encased beams? You know, I can never remember. But I mentioned in recent episodes that I wanted to expand on some of the steel production, most importantly, those items. And I had noted that when we were building out the rail line out to the oil, that would be a good opportunity for us to look for coal in that area and see if maybe we could build ourselves a new facility for making steel products. And between episodes, I did run that line, or I rode on top of a train, more accurately, scanning as I went along. And I did find some coal. And looking at the area, it's a really interesting area and can be kind of a challenge to build in. And the more I looked at it, the more I found that there is an opportunity to make a pretty unique build. And I'm really excited to try something a little different in our build style, taking advantage of the terrain of the area. So today, that's what we're going to focus on. But before we do that, if you'll recall, we have done all of the parts for the space elevator. You know, we've always tossed just a few parts here or there into manufacturers and just forgot about them and let them feed their way up there. And that has been done long ago. So first thing we're going to do today is we're going to go press the button, send the space elevator on its way, and I want to unlock aluminum. Now again, we're not going to do anything with starting out our aluminum line today, but with them unlocked, that means we can start dropping down hard drives and seeing if we can get some alternate recipes that will work in our favor. So let's get going, and I'll meet you at the space elevator. All right, here we are back at the space elevator. This should be complete. It is very nice. I don't remember it being that loud. This thing is so cool. I think I've mentioned it before, but I really wish that there were more reasons to send this thing off just so we could watch the animation. Oh boy, that is so cool. Okay, so that's going to give us access to aluminum and various other things, but I believe that we can unlock aluminum with the things that we've already done. Excuse me. All right, we're not going to run that. I'll meet you at the hub. All right, we went ahead and stopped by the hub and noticed that we needed more stuff. I don't think we have enough room for all of it. No, we don't. All right, let's see here. That can put us at... We need one more spot. We can temporarily run around with the chainsaw sound going. All right, I think that covers us for all the materials we need for aluminum. Take the express lane. Then we're going to need to run by the house, pick up our hard drives, and start the MAM on processing one. You know, we really need to find a new place for the hub. It's just kind of feels not right leaving it out here in the middle of the yard. You know, I mean, we've done so much other stuff. It just feels like we're disrespecting it. All right. Before we hit the button, I want to show you what that's giving us. So this is the whole everything, right? We're Radio controlled units I don't think we can make because they probably require electronics that we're not doing yet. But all the aluminum stuff is kind of what we want to unlock so that we have an opportunity for getting some alternate recipes for these things. And a radio controlled unit would be nice as well. But I don't think there's anything else we can do without aluminum. Yeah, see, like we need the aluminum there to get the Mark V belts. So this is the one that we're going to get unlocked. Drop down a hard drive or two and just kind of let that stuff cook while we're working on today's project.
Milestone reached. Quartz and bauxite scanning unlocked.
There it goes.
A new generation of basic aluminum parts is now available, which can be constructed from bauxite after a complex process of refinement. The blender will be used in future processes.
All right, so back to the house. Let's grab a hard drive and toss it down and then get going to the work site. All right, excellent. So again, today we're going to work on the encased industrial beams. I've already done the math for kind of what I want to do, and I'm going to spare you the spreadsheet on this one. But I do know how many things that we are going to need. We are going to need 16 smelters, 12 foundries, 27 constructors, 7.5 assemblers, so 8. And we're going to need 10 miners. Fortunately, I've already gone through and collected up all these materials ahead of time, and they are at the train station, ready to go along with us on the personal train. So I think that is everything for this area. Let's get going to, it's the tunnel. Let's get going to the job site, which is going to be, I think, roughly in this area. And we'll go over what the plans are and how it's going to be unique from the builds we've done in the past. So I think this is going to come out really cool, or maybe not. I don't know until we do it. But I'm excited to try this different style and just kind of see how it comes out. All right, so the train is already loaded up, should be ready to go. Now we're not going directly to the job site because it's in the way of a line. All right, here we go. Now, as I was saying, we're going to head over to the electronics hub and just park it there for now and hitch a ride with the oil train out to the job site. Once we're out there, we can create a little, place for this train to park without it getting in the way of the rail line, because we don't want to interrupt the flow of the oil products going back and forth. And then we can summon it to us and begin our work. Okay, so we missed the rock that I was trying to jump onto. A little bit too much forward momentum. Oh, and there are people waiting for us. All right, so here we are at the job site. And as you can see, the terrain is quite varied. Oh, looks like our hard drive is ready. We'll need to remember to check that in a moment. But first, we need to find where everything is at. Now, our station is probably going to be just somewhere right in this area, maybe even on this rock. If we look at the map, our coal is up here. That's up there somewhere on that cliff. Kind of a pain to get to. But we will, and we're going to bring it down and do our manufacturing down here across these plateaus. And what I want to do is I want to actually use the plateaus as the basis of our platforms. I don't want to do, a big wide platform like we did over the chasm, in the original steel area, which was fine. I quite happy with the way that came out. But here I want to actually use these plateaus, especially the higher ones, as supports and actually build on them different segments of the process. So, for example, let me get to a little bit better vantage point here. Like that platform right there, that's probably large enough to do like all of our smelters or our foundries. So we can bring, you know, like the coal down and feed it in. And if we scan for our iron ore, you see we have more iron ore over here. We're kind of facing it. So those can go onto probably a platform over in that area for smelting, because remember we have the solid steel or whatever the alternate recipe that allows us to use iron ingots as opposed to iron ore, and we get a 50% bonus of the final output. And so we can build them over in there, and then we can cart all the iron ingots over to like that platform. And of course we need a bunch of limestone. So right there's some limestone. And I know that there are some limestone deposits just kind of dotted throughout the area. So we can kind of bring them all together and turn them into concrete. Yeah, there's one right behind us, there's one across the way there. And we can just kind of, I want them to be dotted around. And I don't think we're going to do buildings. We're going to do kind of an open concept of, you know, it's out in the desert. They don't necessarily need to be protected inside from the weather, you know, and probably like, you know, I'd like to use this big one here, like maybe for our final manufacturing, and kind of bring it all together and then bring it down to a station, you know, possibly over in this area. So that's really what I'm looking to do. And I think that'd be pretty cool. I think it'd be really cool to connect all these plateaus together into a cohesive engine to give us a final product. Now, I think that we're only going to produce the encased industrial beams, or industrial encased beams, because, you know, they eat up a lot of resources just to come up with a few of them. So that's probably all we're going to do. We probably won't have any leftover steel, but that's really the thing that we most need, because not only are they used in manufacturing, but they are used for Tier 4 belts. And we've had to really be skimpy on them because of the fact that I think we have like 5 per minute surplus, and that is it. And it would be a big boon to have a bunch more of those coming in. So let me start laying out like where some of these platforms are going to be and get some miners placed down, because, you know, I have to get all the way up there. You know, I should have brought the Explorer with me, but probably not, because it's up on a cliff anyway. So I think I got to run up that little ramp, or just actually build a ramp up. Oh, and real quick before we run off. Come on, alternate for aluminum. Caterium wire, we're still not using wires. Never anything for the elevator stuff. Encased industrial pipe. The facility we're building is for this stuff. Excellent. I assume that's more efficient. It's only 4 per minute, but we can produce a lot more steel pipe per steel than steel beams. Like a lot more. If you recall, so steel beams is 60 ingots down to 15 beams, whereas pipes is only 30 ingots up to 20. Well, it's still down to 20, but it's more. So we get more for half the amount of steel. I don't think I really have to do the math to say that that's better. And we don't really want these anyway. Well, that was fortuitous. Excellent. All right, well, let's start a new hard drive. And, all right, yeah, off to coal. looks like the next MAM is done. It's a pretty good timing to come back. So I'm gonna move this quick like. So something I hadn't mentioned is that we are only going to exploit 2 of the 3 nodes that are up here. So do a quick scan here. You'll see that there are 3 nodes. And we've tagged all 3 of them. They are all pure. The reason that we're only going to use 2 of the nodes is because if we look at aluminum, let's see here, aluminum scrap, I think? Yeah. Requires coal. And I want to leave open the option for, what if we want to grab this coal? I don't know that we will. I don't know yet where we're going to build our aluminum at. But for the moment, I don't want to commit all 3 of the coal mines that are in the area to doing this. We'll get plenty of work out of these 2 mines just on their own. So it's not going to hurt us to not exploit it. And down there is our rail line. So we're going to have to bring these up over the cliff and probably chain some lifts down. That should be exciting to get that going. Because we don't want it to clip with the cliff side. I'm afraid to move too fast here. I'll go right off the edge. But we can bring it down, and like I said, right there's one of those plateaus. As you can see, there's limestone in those locations right there. And the iron is over there in that area somewhere. So I think that probably our foundries will be on that platform. But we'll see once we get these down there and how it looks. Also, I forgot to build the little temporary train station so we could call our train to us. So I'm going to kind of hang over the edge a bit here and see, kind of how close I can get away with putting a like a stacking pole on the edge. Something like, right here. And just like draw a temporary thing for a lift to connect to. And then grab the lifts. We're going to have 240 coming out on the line. So we just need a Mark III. And see, that's going to collide with the terrain, but maybe we just stop it shy. This is the thing that I'm going to have to play with. So I'll mess around with how far over we have to extend this without it looking, kind of funny. And, and just kind of see how we can get it down on the train. And I'll just have to go down there so that I can actually see how far down it is. Because it's hard to read from here. How far down is that actually? All right, quick update time. I actually am reverse engineering this. And what I've done is I actually drew a line from the rail line so that, make sure that we're on the same grid. I mean, I know we have the global grid, but the global grid doesn't always align things laterally, just horizontally. So I drew the whole line over here. There's a ladder so I can get back to it. I'm actually out of materials for, let's see, you can see I can't even make any more foundations. I'm out of both concrete and plate. That's all right. I think I've got everything I need. And what we're doing is we're reverse building this, and I'm going with 2 belts. Now granted, we're doing 240 per mine. We could do 480 by merging them and just do 1 Mark IV belt. But, that kind of restricts us a little bit if in the future we want to overclock these miners. And I figure while we're building out the infrastructure now, just, do two lines in parallel. Why not? But this is going to make it easier for me to avoid the cliff. And if we do it from the bottom, then we can connect at the top just by a belt hanging over. As you can see, we've, measured out. So this is going to be just enough to clear the rocks on here so we can use this platform. Careful not to fall to our death. And we just need to line it up. Alright, so we get to eyeball it. And that's okay, because since we have 2 of them coming up, we'll just see how close this one is. And we'll adjust based on the other one. Needs to go higher. You know, if I had the material, I would just draw the thing out and the platform out here, and I'd be able to tell exactly how to go. But I do have a temporary station over there, so I can call for the train now. Let's try that. Oh, that looks perfect. Excellent. So we just delete this one and match the height. All right, train is here, and I'm kind of tight on inventory space. I think we need to drop this last hard drive off. So let's see what the last one had for us. Toss this one down, and then I think we just need to get into a montage because we're eating up a lot of time for this video, and we haven't even started building yet. So let's see here. Alternate for rotors. We already have an alternate for it, and it takes steel. That's the thing that we're kind of... I mean, it gets rid of screws, but we're trying to build up our steel right now, so I don't think so. Diluted fuel is an interesting recipe. I know there's a lot of people who like it. You mix 5 heavy oil with 10 water and you get more fuel. So it's not a bad recipe at all. It's additional steps, but it's a thing, and maybe we'll use it in the next place, maybe not, but I'm okay with it. All right. Again, I think it's time for montage. So let me start building some of these platforms, and we'll just check them out as they start to go up. All right, this seems like a good place to kind of give a little update. So we have our smelter area set up where the coal will come down and feed it behind it. Obviously these temporary platforms will all be gone, and it's anchored pretty nicely. It's kind of hard to tell from here, but it's anchored to the pillar that it's on. Over there we have all of our iron smelting that's going to be necessary for this project. That came out pretty nicely and just kind of runs along the way. I like it because it's using the bridge. Again, I kind of want to use the terrain for this. And then here we are on top of the big pillar. Getting ready to clear it out. And this is where the final product is going to be made. Now, we just unlocked the alternate for the encased industrial beams, which kind of throws a kind of a wrench in our plans for the math. But that's okay, we're going to work around that. It's going to work in our favor. The thing is that it's going to require a lot more concrete than we originally expected. And we're just going to have to use basically all the nodes and overclock, and we're going to have a bunch of probably little buildings all over the place that are producing the concrete itself from the limestone. So we have where are they? We have limestone, limestone. There's another one right there in the corner that's limestone. Those are all normals. And then we have the normal limestone over there. And we can't see it from here. Hang on a second. Let me detoxify this area a little bit. And we have... where's the interactable piece? It's over here. Okay. We got it? Oh, nice. All right. But I mean, it's requiring so much concrete, and we've Sadly, we've turned down a number of the concrete alternate recipes, you know, kind of mocking that we weren't going to need them, but sure would be useful right now. Also, I've noticed that there is another crash site over there, and I don't think we've got that one. You know, looking at the map, there is a hard drive over here, but I think that is right about here. So we'll make a run down there and try to get another hard drive. Let's throw this hard drive on. Bam. Oh, we had a hard drive ready. And an alternate for concrete. I've already done all the math. Oh man. And it requires silica. We're not producing silica yet. Not that it would be hard if there is a crystal area nearby, maybe. This also wouldn't be terrible because making crystal quartz is just laborious. And you know, the conversion rate is just like in concrete, the conversion rate is not great. But there tends to be more limestone nodes than quartz nodes. And of course not this. You know, I just made fun of us not taking concrete. I would rather have this. I'll tell you what, let's scan for quartz, and if there's quartz nearby, we'll take the concrete recipe, and if it isn't, then we wouldn't use this anyway for this project. And we'll go to the other one. Throw it to the fates. Oh boy, that's that's not good. 900 out, 850 out. Oh, no. Nope. These are inside the spider cave. So they're not on top. In fact, see, I marked it when we were in there, and that one's also going to be in there. I know that from experience. So those, we would have to run them all the way through the cave and out through the Cave of Death opening, and then all the way around down here to use them. So that is a big nope. Alright, so we're going to take this one. Just, you know, we'll probably maybe use it in the future. And throw the other hard drive on. Alright. So, I know we're kind of running close on time here. I want to finish this project up. We'll see how it works out. I'm going to knock out all of the limestone places and bring them all together. We also still have to have a location to turn the steel ingots into pipes, which I think is probably going to be right down there. And then most likely the train station is going to end up down there on that platform. So we have to split off and come over there, and this can come down. I think that's going to be the plan. But that's enough talk. Let me, I think that's so much more to do. Let me get to bringing this together. Okay. This, you know, if I had realized how complex this build was going to be, I would have structured this to be a two-part episode. It wasn't until I really got into the weeds and had really too much done already that I realized how much time it was going to take to complete this, and how much I would want to, you know, get to show what is going on, and just how much I don't have time for on the video. And this should have been a two-parter. We're going to consider this like a 1.5-parter because we're going to get it running right now after we do a very, very quick overview. And then we're going to come back next episode and put roof on stuff and maybe do a little bit closer look at some of the things. But I'm going to give you the very, very quick overview because we are way out of time and I want to turn it on. All right, so up here is the set of assemblers, but let's start at the beginning. All right, very fast. We have our set of foundries here. 480 coal coming down behind it. And over there we have our 480 iron ingots. Remember, we're using the pure steel or solid steel, whatever it's called. So we are converting 480 iron ore into 480 iron ingots. And the smelter's there. That wraps around and meets up, producing 720 steel ingots, thanks to the cool recipe that we have. Behind it, we have 3 normal nodes for limestone. That's 360 limestone, which comes out exactly at 8 constructors for 120 concrete. Comes out very nice. And that wraps around and comes up here to where our final products will be. We have down here 2 separate stations for making steel pipe, because there's 720 coming out of the ingots, and our belts can't handle 720. So one side and on the other side, it's 2 rows, splits it evenly, and we have 12 constructors on each side, producing, I think, 240 a piece of steel pipes, and those end up merging into a 480, which also comes up here. Now that 120 belt of concrete obviously is not enough to supply this whole thing. So way over there in the distance, we have a pure node of concrete, which clocked to 200% produces 480 limestone, which is the most that our belt can carry. So we run that through 10 constructors, eating up 450 of the concrete. This is a smart splitter, so that once all the machines are done, the last 30 limestone will overflow onto this belt, which mixes with our concrete. Something we don't normally do, but we can easily handle the concrete and limestone on one belt temporarily. And then here we have a 200% normal node and a smart splitter that takes the concrete off the belt and the limestone that way. 6 more machines produces all of the concrete that we need. So the remainder of that concrete will come through here. And under the floor, as you can see, we have a pretty nice little network of distribution. And a very convenient thing is that, you know, we have 120 concrete coming from one side, and 6 machines of assemblers eats up exactly 120, because they are 20 apiece on the concrete. So we can have the 120 coming from one side, and it's isolated just to that 6, and then the other 480 comes up and takes care of the other 2 rows. And I went with a kind of a different little style here without actually remembering to put all of these in. This is something I'm going to find going through this whole thing. There's just so many little parts. It's so easy to miss something. Oh my goodness. And I am out of plate. I don't have any more plate with us. I have to go back home. You know what? I'm not going all the way back home. We'll just do Mark II here. I will come back and change this because I am OCD and I'm not going to let that be wrong. But for now... Oh, you connect, please. We're just going to do these 3 at Mark II. We're going to go back home anyway for the wrap up on the porch. And then we'll continue this. You know, some of the stuff we need to do. We'll talk about that on the outro. But we'll come back briefly for next episode. But I'm going to turn this thing on right now and cross my fingers and hope that this whole thing works. Also, as you can see, we're just going into a storage container. That's another thing we'll do next episode, is we'll get our proper station built and have it come down there. So everything should be up and running now. Let's just hang out for a minute and see if I missed anything terrible. So the good news here is that I did actually make some mistakes that I've spotted quickly and I'm able to fix real fast. All those lights were still red on that side, and I hadn't put the recipes in for half the smelters or the foundries. While I was there though, I noticed that the coal wasn't coming in very fast at all, and apparently I had some Mark I belts over there that should have been Mark III. So I was able to reclaim some of the sheeting, which we will use in a moment to go fix those those lifts that we put as Mark II before we leave. But that's that was kind of an unexpected bonus. But I think that, yeah, there we go. With some lights going green now. Now I'm going to have to go through between episodes and do a little bit of like underclocking. Actually, I think really all I want to underclock is probably one of these. I think everything else is coming out to the math. So I think we need 17.1 of these assemblers. And right now we have 18 running at full speed. So, you know, I'll figure it out and we'll underclock one of them. But there we go. We have product coming down. That doesn't mean that everything's running at appropriate speeds, but stuff is coming in, so things are connected properly. That's the important thing. And you know, I can see a bunch of concrete coming in there, and that looks pretty good. And yeah, I think that's going to be it. It's amazing the amount of stuff that we had to do just for this one product. We're going to only go and produce like 74 per minute. It's just, you know, crazy the amount of material necessary to make these products. And this was the alternate recipe that we just discovered. It would have been less if we hadn't found that. So anyway, I'm going to head back home and we're going to wrap this up because you know, as the theme for the series, we are wildly over time. But yeah, see you there back at home. And one last thing we got to do real quick before we go is check our hard drive. Steel rotor, we're already using an alternate for that. Nope. And aluminum. Yeah, we did one aluminum recipe. Wow, that's really different. So it's half the output, right? 30 per minute versus 60 per minute. So it's a lot more machines. However, it looks like it's eliminating silica, which is great. And we're 2 for 1 versus 6 for 4, which is actually a loss in total output, right? Because that's for 6 of the scrap, we would only get 3 aluminum versus 4. So that's not fantastic. We're not thrilled with that. But I don't think we need these other things. Let's go ahead and grab it. You know, this will kind of liberate where we can build, because if we don't have to bring in silica, although silica is a byproduct as part of it anyway. Yeah, we'll think about it. We'll grab it for now. You know, if we don't use it, we don't use it. Not all the recipes are gonna be great. And that was that extra hard drive that I said that we saw off the edge. So but we're out of time. So thank you so very much for coming out. You know, I really wanted to complete this entire project in one run, and as I was mentioning, really probably should have been a two-parter. Just I underestimated the challenge for building so many different steps across the different elevations. You know, getting around was really a challenge. And even though we don't have the jetpack, we could unlock it. It wouldn't have helped, just because flying up and down limited jetpack wouldn't have helped. It was just a lot of running around, a lot of building ramps, a lot of going up and down ladders, and a lot of just, you know, the math was really a thing because of all the concrete and everything. And plus, you know, just trying out areas, finding that they didn't look good, moving areas over, and just, it just spent a lot of time. It took a lot of time to get to look pretty decent, but I'm very happy with how it came out. It's incomplete. I still need to, you know, roof off some of it I'm not going to. You know, it does require some beautification. Plus, I need to go back and just make sure it's all running at full speed. But I'm pleased with it. I'm very happy that we are getting those out of the way because we needed more industrial encased beams, or encased industrial beams, whatever they are. And that's a big deal because they're going to slow our manufacturing for things like heavy modular frames, I believe is what was using them, and you know, just for belts and whatnot. So I'm glad that we finally got a supplemental source for those. Next episode, we'll get a station built. We'll set up a system for getting them back here to base and incorporating them into our greater supply. But thank you very much for coming out. I know that we missed last week. This is just, again, it's taken a long time to make this episode. I've got all of other things that are going on, and we're still going to attempt to keep them once per week. Sometimes it'll be every other week. We'll just see how things go. But thank you very much for coming back. Thanks for hanging out in this long episode. And definitely, if you liked it, leave a like, and leave a comment. Love to hear from you guys. And if you haven't subscribed yet, just click the button. It helps out a lot. And if you're not familiar with the game Hardspace Shipbreaker, at the time of this recording, that game just came out of early access, and we are doing live streams of playing through it. So you might want to come and hang out, see what that game's about, and you can actually see what I look like because I'm on camera. And it's a chance for you to say hi live. We're doing that every Saturday. We might actually start doing that every twice a week. Who knows? But I hope to see you in the next episode, and thank you for watching.